Hey guys, it's me, Mr. 250, and welcome back to Umineko. Let's see what's happening in the life of Angie at her school. Oh my gosh, she's adorable looking. I mean, that has nothing to do with the story, but still. Good day to you is the standard greeting used here. No matter how many years pass by, the style of greeting still feels very awkward. Even though I had responded to the greeting in order to stifle that awkward feeling. The classmate who had spoken looked at me blankly. Uh-oh, someone's about to get beat up here. Their choice of words and manner were certainly what you would expect of a school for rich girls. But the actual meaning was as innocent and cruel as would expect from kids of that age. It seemed that they found it funny that I'd mistakenly thought the greeting was directed at me. No, it might be the opposite. Maybe I should say that they didn't know what to do after being greeted by an introverted kid like me. No, judging by the gazes of my classmates who were looking this way over their shoulders and whispering to each other, it was as though some of them considered this refreshing morning ruined. I was dark, because I was disliked. So trying not to get in the way of everyone's refreshing morning anymore, I stooped lower and entered the classroom. Almost like I was cutting through the aisle in a movie theater while the movie was running. This is an all-dorm academy, St. Lucia Academy. It's not a school that anyone can get into by taking a test. It's a hidden rich girl school, known only by a select group of celebrities from various fields. For lofty nobles who truly wish their daughters could be raised like saints. This is probably the ideal school, which to protect their daughters from the impurities of the common world. But at the same time, it was probably also convenient for nobles to confine daughters who they didn't want out in public. As well as an academy isolated from the impurities of the common world, it also held excellent potential as a prison school. I was truly among the latter, and was confined in St. Lucia Academy, forced to live my life in dreariness. Of course, there weren't that many students like me, and you couldn't tell us apart at a glance. However, even if one of these kids didn't talk about it, you could usually guess from their appearance. Because they were always hanging their heads all the time, with an expression on their faces as though the whole world had abandoned them. And every class had one or two kids like that, so even if they didn't speak up about it, you could guess who they are. Or were. Therefore, even though I didn't confess that I was one of those kids at some point, everyone in the class had found out. Just like how the seriousness of an injury becomes a sign of status in a hospital room. How noble a birth one had became a sign of the status here. Those who aren't permitted to go out in public places are probably nothing more than filthy people to them. They must think that getting involved with students like that would dirty them as well. When a rumor sprang up about a particular student, those, well, that's a big word, fastidious students would grow cold and distant, chasing that student out of all social groups. Thanks to that, I led a quiet school life like this all by myself. Well, that's only if hearing people whisper behind my back, finding things lost or broken all the time, and having everyone pretend like they didn't know anything, can be called a quiet school life. Even in the morning, I must be wearing a worn-out expression. I can almost understand how my other classmates, who had a refreshing morning, looked at my face and wanted to click their tongues. Consciously trying to do as I should and avoid tainting my classmates' morning, I quietly took my seat. Then unusually, someone came to talk to me. It was the class leader.
ごきげんよう、白宮さん。朝からご機嫌斜めなご様子ね。ちゃんと睡眠は取られてる？
何かご用ですか？
学年発表会のアンケート、まだ提出してないの。後宮さんだけよ。昨日までが提出日だったの。お忘れ？
I'm pretty sure I heard something about that last week, but I thought that the questionnaire hadn't been passed out yet. The details would be written there, so it should have been no problem to remember about it once they were passed out.
アンケート用紙もらってないですか？
I think I know what happened.
そんなはずありませんよ。寮長から全員にちゃんと配布されてる
Oh, then we're gonna
は
have
ず
to
です。
go beat up some dormitory leaders.
なくしてしまったならそうと素直におっしゃればいいのに。
Oh no, we're gonna have to beat up this class leader too, cause she's a jerk.
なくしました。今すぐ書きますから。用紙をいただけますか？
Again. Either someone lost my paper or they intentionally didn't tell me about it. But I have no way of knowing who was behind that, so we'll just have to beat up everyone. In the end, treating it as though it was my own carelessness would settle everything more quickly.
書いたらご自身で生徒会室のアンケートポストに投函されるように。うちのクラスだけですよ。夕べまでに全員のが揃わなかったのは。
I know, you can shut up now. As I hung my head at the class leader's scolding, I could hear the giggles and whispers of people watching, coming from no direction in particular. Ushirimiya-san did it again. It's because that person is too careless. She isn't suitable for the school. She has no dignity, and she has no manners either. Well, I guess it's time to teach someone who doesn't have manners, then. Sorry, girls, but I've dealt with much worse when it comes to unfair personal attacks. As I froze my heart and let those arrows of ridicule pass by, I quickly filled out the questionnaire. When I learned that father and mother and Oni-chan and all the rest of my family had died, I had been in the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. The only survivor of the accident was Ushirimiya Eva. Only Aunt Eva. Even at the time, I hadn't really liked Aunt Eva. At a glance, she would act kindly. But even as young as I was, I could see that she was somehow making fun of father and the rest, and I hadn't liked it. So when it was decided that Aunt Eva would take care of me, I was pretty miserable. Maybe it wouldn't have mattered if that gentle Hideyoshi Oji-san and George Oni-chan had been there with me. But I had hated the thought of living all alone with Aunt Eva. I had frankly said that to Grandpa, hoping to live together in his house. However, Aunt Eva had been very insistent that she should be the one to look after me, because she's a heartless person. Aunt Eva had no desire to marry, so I was essential as a successor to the Ushirimiya family. Aunt Eva felt very strongly about the Ushirimiya family, and how she murdered it all. She fervently claimed that she wanted to take charge of me right away so that she could give me an education and lifestyle fitting for a successor. It seemed that confusing negotiation with lawyers took place. But in the end, I was forced to go live with Aunt Eva. After doing that, Aunt Eva told me something. You must spare all of the glory and history of the Ushirimiya family. And in order to make you a fitting successor to bear that, the rest of your life will be dedicated to frantic studying. Sacrifice the rest of your life for the Ushirimiya family. That's what she said. At first I thought she meant that literally. But I quickly realized that wasn't the case. Because even now in Aunt Eva's eyes, the one most fitting to be successor was the late George Oni-chan. At my first meal, I'd received strict instruction in questioning about table manners, and had been forced to listen to her abuse mom and dad as though they had been neglected in their discipline. I had also received the same strict instructions regarding manners at my first party, and my clumsiness had been disparaged in front of everyone, forcing me to endure insults about mom and dad as well. After that repeated over and over, I eventually began to understand. Aunt Eva didn't really want to make me the next head. She thought that the one who was truly fitting to be the next head was George Oni-chan, but he's dead. And she couldn't forgive the fact that I was to be the next head. So I was disparaged in front of a lot of people. I was humiliated. And she made it known exactly how I was inferior to George Oni-chan. Surely holding a memorial service for her dead son. No, she must still have been mourning the fact that he was dead. However, that wasn't something I could endure. I couldn't possibly live together with Aunt Eva, as my life was continuously compared with her dead son's. I was kept like a pet. I understood that even when I was in elementary school. I tried to escape the Ushirimiya house and go to the house of my grandpa on my mother's side. However, Aunt Eva had already foreseen that. No, thinking back on it, she might have been luring me into escaping. I was caught by the guards and brought back. And for being a coward who had smeared the Ushirimiya family crest with mud and tried to throw it away, in a way that makes my whole body shake and shiver just remembering it, I was punished. How should I describe what Aunt Eva was like when she punished me? In a frenzy? Gleeful. The anger and sadness of losing her beloved son, as well as the hatred and pain that I had stolen the inheritance from the son who should have succeeded it. And the dark pleasure of being able to let those feelings out on me. I was hit with all those negative emotions at once. Then, all of my free time and freedom to act was stolen, and I was put under surveillance around the clock. I may have lived in a gorgeous mansion dressed in expensive clothes, but my heart and my dignity had been trampled upon, and I was the Ushirimiya family slave, its cattle. Compared to that lifestyle, the derisive laughter of my classmates here was calm and pleasant. It was no match for my heart. Yeah, I always knew Eva was a pretty mean person. After burying almost all of the fields of the questionnaire with nothing in particular, I folded it and put it in my pocket. Put it. Because if I left it in the desk, it might disappear again. During lunch break, after dropping it off at the postbox in the student council room, I finished lunch by myself as usual, and headed behind the school building where no one could be seen. Only my time by myself could protect me from the derisive laughter and gossip. Since I was hated and didn't have a single friend, my time alone was the most kind to me. After checking the surrounding bushes to see whether some malicious classmate were hiding and threatening my time of quiet, I finally relaxed the tension from my entire body, knowing that I had gained some true peace. It's pretty rough, isn't it? Not even having really a moment to have to yourself. That's pretty rough. Then I let out a sigh. It faltered, heavy as though it was the first time I had breathed out today. My old favorite place behind the vegetable garden storehouse. It had been found out by my classmates and I had been teased, so this was my new lunchtime hideaway. There was nowhere to sit behind the school building. As I crouched near the wall in the shadow of the bushes, a train came! Anyway, I opened my bag and took out a book with an elaborate, old-fashioned binding. Just glancing at it, you would probably think it was a religious book or something written in the Middle Ages. But this isn't a book. It's not, it looks like a book. Oh, it's a diary. Of course, this isn't my diary. There aren't any special things worth writing about in my daily life. Every single day is just gray, cold and dry. And these completely unchanging days, there aren't any changes worth writing down. This is the diary of Maria Oni-chan, who I had been very good friends with. Well, yeah, they were about the same age, weren't they? Maybe not exactly, but close enough. She'd been a bit strange and 3 years older than me, but Oni-chan was always a warm and wonderful cousin, until she did that creepy laugh. She would always grab my hand and let me join in on some fun game. I remember that meeting her had been the most fun thing when the family gathered. When I opened the diary, the characters, which were made fairly skillfully considering that this was an elementary schooler, were packed close together even though it was written on every other line. Was she just hopelessly obsessed with jotting everything down in her diary? Probably not. To her, writing her daily life down in a diary was probably like having a conversation with another part of herself. So rather than an object on which the events of her day were written down, Maria Oni-chan's diary was written like a letter to another part of herself, telling of the events of that day. I had found this diary among her belongings after her death and had secretly taken it home. At first, I had felt that reading someone else's diary might be boorish, and had been satisfied to just keep it by my side. But I couldn't help flipping through the pages and reading through it bit by bit. And she'd now become my only friend. I gently opened to the page with the bookmark.
マリアお姉ちゃん、お待たせ。また、お姉ちゃんのお話を聞かせて。
At the same time, a very soft breeze blew, tickling the paper, and I thought that the open diary might have sparkled faintly. The weather is good today. Maria Oni-chan loves wonderful rays of sunlight, so I'm sure she's in a good mood. No, she's dead. On the open diary, no. In the world of the diary, Maria Oni-chan showed herself. Or no, that's One. Oh, darn it, I always get confused. That is a... Okay, I think something failed to load here. She'd certainly been 9 when she died. So her form is already younger than me. There we go, that fixed it. But I call her Oni-chan, so she also affectionately calls me Angie.
Oh, Angie, 今日は来るのが遅かった。お昼混んでた？
うん、いつも混んでるわ。仲良しグループたちが席を陣取ってる上に、食事を終えた後も席を塞ぎ続けてるから。食堂に行くのが遅くなると致命的ね。今日は片付けの当番だったから。
マリア、ご飯食べるの早い。早く食べ終わるとその分いっぱい遊べるな。
Maybe she noticed that I was holding a grudge because that duty had been forced upon me, and shortened my lunch break by a bit. Maria Oni-chan brightly changed the subject. Or One. Darn it, messing it up again. Grateful for that consideration, I responded by saying that I ate slowly. Maria said something about teaching me the trick to eating fast, and calmed me down. I read it in the diary. No, I heard it from Maria One-chan. It seemed that she had been ranked number 1 among the girls in the speedy eating ranking of her grade's newspaper. It seems that she had been very proud of that, but had been a little disappointed that her mother, Aunt Rosa, hadn't praised her very much for it.
じゃあ今日のお話を始めるね。昨日はどこまでお話をしたかな？
ここまでよ。マリアお姉ちゃんが作太郎をプレゼントしてもらったところまで。作太郎の話を聞かせてくれる約束になってたわ。
I feel like this image isn't supposed to be this dark. Maybe it is, I don't know.
作太郎のこと話すよ。作太郎はね、とっても可愛いぬいぐるみなの。エンジェもきっと気に入るよ。
そのお話を聞かせて。マリアお姉ちゃんにお話を聞かせてもらえる昼休みだけが学校で一番心を許せる。
マリア話す。作太郎はね、
When I looked at Maria One-chan, who is always in a good mood, it made my heart feel warm as well. As I listened to her tale, I began to get absorbed into her world. And then the music stopped. Oh, never mind. Okay, we're good.
ハッピーバースデーマリア。ごめんね、帰りが遅くなって。
Isn't this where George went on that date? Went on that date with Shannon? Or maybe it's a different place.
ママのお仕事お疲れ様。マリア、ママが忙しいの知ってるから遅くなっても泣かないで待ってた。おとなしくテレビ見て待ってた。
うん、マリアは偉いわね。お行儀よく待ってたご褒美に今日は何でも好きなものを注文していいわよ。もちろん食べきれる分だけだけどね。
Put that stipulation in there.
今日はコーンスープをオニオングラタンスープに変えてもいい？
ええ、いいわよ。
200円高くなるけどプロシュートピッツァに変えてもいい？
ええ、いいわよ。本当に食べられるならね。でもいっか、誕生日だしね。ちゃんとお行儀よく待ってたいい子のマリアにご褒美もないとね。
じゃあデザートにエンチェラードチーズケーキもつけて。
Enchilada cheesecake?
あとねシェフの気まぐれフルーツサラダにキッズフライドポテト。メロンソーダも飲みたい。
What is all this meal? Okay. Can you even eat all that? It's a lot of food, it sounds like.
ママに褒められた。
ちょっとはしゃぎすぎよ。もう少し静かにしないと他のお客さんに迷惑よ。
When Rosa gently admonished her, Maria stuck her tongue out and eased up a little. But it seemed that she was having a hard time repressing her excitement at being able to eat out with her mother after such a long time. Today was Maria's birthday. Rosa had wanted to let Maria spend her birthday at a wonderful restaurant no matter what. When Maria had been in kindergarten, they'd sometimes invited other kids from the neighborhood over and had a party at home. Rosa would make a wonderful cake and snacks and decorate the house herself, making it a huge celebration. But when they had moved and Maria had stopped having friends in the neighborhood, Rosa had started splurging at expensive restaurants instead. However, today, they were in a normal family restaurant that is completely empty except for them. It was also a little late in the day for a kid like Marie to eat there, even with a parent. Actually, she'd gotten reservations at a fantastic place that surely would have pleased Maria. Of course, she had also prepared a wonderful cake with Maria's name written on it. But Rosa just hadn't been able to finish up her business, and had been forced to cancel. Since that had turned into a local family restaurant, Rosa felt a little indebted to Maria. So she was prepared to spoil Maria a bit and let her have whatever she wanted tonight.
マリアお姉ちゃんってあんまり食べないんじゃなかった？こんなに頼んで大丈夫なの？
I know that is a lot of food. Anyway, unfortunately, it looks like I'm gonna have to stop here. I don't know if we're really close to the end or not, but I do have a little bit short on time today, so I'm gonna stop it here. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time for some more Umineko. Bye!